Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhu, may I try, Prabhu?
Go ahead, Chandan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Om Anjana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnamscha Sri Rupam Sagarajam Sahagana Raghunathan Vittam Ratam Sadhivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम पारिजान साहित्यम कृष्णा चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादन सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखन विटम हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांच कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिद्धभय इव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today, Ramvilas will bring on screen striking points and answer inquiries. Next, you all will answer homework questions. And then today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 12 to 22. So next Saturday, 21st of September, we will finish this Unit 1, which will be Canto 1, Chapters 1, 2, and 3, which are covered in Unit 1. So I'm hoping all of you are okay to revise this Unit 1 on following Saturday of 28th September, where you all will explain key points from Unit 1. So towards the end of class today, I will share more information on that. Share a Google link where you will populate your name against your respective presentations. So I will share slides on the screen. So first I will share striking points from last class. So there are two slides. This is slide number 1. And this is slide number 2. Okay, inquiries. Please explain how Shankaracharya's commentary differs from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shankaracharya's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is Mayavad commentary. So it's not that the commentary differs from Srimad Bhagavatam, it's just that it is Srimad Bhagavatam commentary, it's just that the commentary is Mayavad commentary. So Srila Prabhupada has clearly stated to stay away from any such Mayavadi commentary on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, I have not read Sankaracharya's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. But essentially the difference will be that Sankaracharya's commentary will be Mayavad commentary, wherein Mayavadis don't consider Krishna as the highest. Rather, Mayavadis consider Brahman effulgence as the highest. Therefore, the Mayavad commentary will impose upon such contaminated thought on the same Srimad Bhagavatam verses. Bottom line, we don't need to worry about any other commentary. Otherwise, we will end up wasting time on trying to understand so many viewpoints and end up on Jnani path. So Srila Prabhupada has given us everything that we need to go back home to Godhead in the bhakti scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and few other books of Srila Prabhupada. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Just the question was asked because sometimes, as you said, we may come across people with different viewpoints, different, philosophies, and just to understand. So, when you're talking to them, we need to know our scriptural references. That's right. Thank you.
Correct. So you are absolutely correct that you will definitely come through many people with different philosophy. So we just have to be strong on our scriptural study so that we can answer their inquiries with scriptural reference. So we can give an answer based on my thought process, but my thought process is also contaminated. Therefore, we just have to give scriptural reference and try to counter their whatever contaminated arguments they may have.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, question number 2 and last question for today. Pretty heavy discussion with this also. Question number 2 is, how can we better remember all the knowledge we hear? So we'll discuss in Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 14. The Sanskrit line is Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha. So Shrotavya means is to be heard, and Kirtitavya means to be glorified. So Srila Prabhupada says in the lecture for this verse that you are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and now you must spread Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not that I have known God, okay, I am satisfied. No, you must preach because people are ignorant. They do not know who is God. Some even manufacture God, that rich people become God. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, preach Srimad Bhagavatam, what you are hearing. So our weekly endeavors are meant to remember and solidify what we discuss in class. And after each unit, the presentations by devotees are further meant to solidify what we discuss in class. So even in the material world, you might have attended some courses on listening skills, and it will tell you that if you simply listen to whatever subject matter, you will retain very little of what you hear. If you make notes, you will retain more than simply listening. And if you speak the topic to someone else, or you give a class on the topic, you will retain the most. Therefore, we have these weekly endeavors and the upcoming unit presentations, as well as few devotees from this batch, which is Zizel, Malti, Meghna, they collectively do their spiritual endeavors for the homework questions that I give. What are they doing? They are talking the same subject matter, and this has greater opportunity to retain what you are hearing and reading. Now, at offline conversations, I have directly explained to some of you devotees from this batch 3 and 4 that you are in Maya's test. Maya rearranges your priorities so that Krishna becomes priority number 2, then number 3, then number 10, then number infinity, and then Krishna is gone. Therefore, you devotee need to do small course corrections, but still these same devotees do not endeavor on the spiritual endeavor. And beyond these devotees with whom I have spoken, there are a few others also from this batch who continuously do not endeavor. And I have actually stopped reminding to all of you. I want you to visualize your arrogance and the adamant nature. Just visualize if you have in your thoughts that what is this guy Ram Vilas telling us again and again? I will do what I want to do. So just visualize yourself, your arrogance and your adamant nature. Understand that Maya enters through a tiny crack and expands like a foam. So when you don't do these spiritual endeavors, meaning you are not regularly hearing and reading, this is a tiny crack. And Maya enters through this tiny crack. So one devotee from this batch number 3 and 4 stopped coming to classes. And this devotee was doing exactly what some of you are doing right now, of not endeavoring, not providing striking points and inquiries after listening to missed classes. Rather, the devotee was simply assembling class recordings for wanting to listen to later on. That later on will never happen because Maya is too strong. Material world is a sticky place. And the result has been that this devotee is no longer coming to our classes because the spiritual taste was not being developed. And simultaneously, material taste is anyway right there. So I am actually trying to convince this devotee from this batch 3 and 4 who has stopped coming to our classes to actually come to our class one day to explain this point to you all, that you see the result firsthand. But I'm not sure if this devotee has the courage to come to speak to you all. So these endeavors, these spiritual endeavors are meant to make you remember and solidify what we discuss, as well as the upcoming presentations after each unit are meant to make you remember and solidify what we discuss. So Srimad Bhagavatam is very huge. And if you do not endeavor, you will be lost very, very soon. The day I repeat this unpalatable topic, that week most devotees endeavor. And then next week onwards, many devotees go back to not endeavoring. So after completing Bhagavad Gita study, from Nectar of Instruction onwards, I have explained that I am not speaking everything from the text that we are covering. Rather, I am leaving few points not discussed so that you can read the scriptures and bring inquiries. But not everyone is following. So how do you expect to retain the knowledge that you are hearing? So I'm actually sorry. I'm not saying all this to any one of you. Since such devotees are arrogant and adamant, I am not saying to any one of you. I am just answering the inquiry that is raised. I have suggested to all that you know that you will be busy and entangled in the material world from Monday onwards. Therefore, why do you have to wait for Wednesday deadline to complete the spiritual endeavor? Just complete the spiritual endeavor immediately. You still have today, Saturday, at least for those who are in Toronto, and then you have tomorrow, Sunday's day available. Before Monday's busyness begins, complete your spiritual endeavor. Now, some of you have connected with me sometimes to get little more time to complete this spiritual endeavor. Maybe these devotees can share their experience as to what has been my response to you when you ask for more time. Anybody wants to share? Somebody who have asked for more time, what has been my response to you? So some of those devotees are not present right now who ask for extra time at some time. So generally, I just say, okay. Meghna wants to say something.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. So I was about to say that you consider a few times, like if we want to stretch the deadline from Wednesday to Friday or Thursday. So you consider that and you grant us that much time to discuss and to endeavor.
Yeah, so I don't give you spiritual endeavor with a stick in my hand. Rather, the spiritual endeavors are meant for you to become disciplined. I don't force anyone anything. I understand material world is tough. I understand you will have material world challenges. Therefore, I don't have a stick in my hand. But if you don't endeavor, how do you expect to recall what we are discussing in class? So almost all of you have heard the short lecture titled First Priority is to keep the first priority as the first priority. Does anyone remember the key points from this short lecture? Somebody?
Prabhu, that 24/7 we need to be centered, teaching Lord Krishna as our first priority. Otherwise, we will gradually, as you said, lose that to the second, third, fourth priority, and then we will not even remember, what is our priority. And also
Okay.
the example of the pilot, on the course from one city to another, you have to keep making corrections, you should not fall off the path. If you do deviate, you need to try to, come back.
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you have to do small course corrections. Meghna? Meghna wanted to say something.
No, no, Prabhu. Sorry, by mistake.
Yeah, so the first priority is to keep the first priority as the first priority. The short lecture from His Grace Chaitanya Chandas, he explains that we are bound to deviate from our path. It is inevitable. We have to do course corrections just as the pilot. Most of the time, the pilot, what he's doing is he's just doing course corrections. Otherwise, the plane will land in a different place or in no man's land. So we have to do course corrections every day. But if you don't endeavor, there's no course correction. And soon Krishna from priority number 1 will become priority number 2, then number 3, then number 10, then number infinity, and then Krishna will not be a priority at all. This is exactly what Maya does. Enters through a small crack and then expands like a foam. And also, almost all of you have also heard the short lecture titled, How to Respect Krishna, God. Does anyone remember the essence of this short lecture? How do you respect Krishna? Or I should ask the first question. Do you all respect Krishna?
Yes, Prabhu.
In words
Yes,
or
Prabhu.
in words or in actions?
Prabhu, it has to be both in words and actions. So when we are attending the classes, when we are listening to the lectures, when we're doing our spiritual endeavor, all of which count as all a part of respecting Lord Krishna. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to show up on time. We have to sincerely participate. We need to complete our spiritual endeavor.
Yeah, very good. Shivangi also correctly says, respect the time carved out for Krishna. Okay, very good. Meghna wanted to say something.
Yes, the same thing, Prabhu. It's like we need to respect Krishna in a way that when we come to the lecture on time or we provide services for Krishna, so in that way we respect Krishna.
Yeah, so ask yourself, do you respect Krishna, God? Is it in words only, or do you respect Krishna with your actions? Somebody? Everybody? Silence. I got silence. Yeah, Shivangi says should be with actions to respect Krishna is very difficult. I understand it is very difficult. No denying. So this is a constant endeavor that we have to do. But if we don't endeavor, then where is the transformation? So I fully agree with Shivangi that it is difficult. We are just trying to endeavor. So how many times I have said to join few minutes before start time to prepare your consciousness by listening to Kirtan. How many times I have said to not do other things while you are in class. But what can I do? So going back to the question, how to remember, does that answer that in terms of completing the weekly spiritual endeavors and then the unit presentations, they are all meant to make you remember the knowledge. And when you discuss, that is more important. Does that answer the question? Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any questions, comments, realizations, the transformational point we discussed? Yeah, one devotee says in the chat, like to respect Krishna is by satisfying spiritual master. So you are correct that by satisfying spiritual master, you will satisfy Krishna. But are you prepared to follow the instructions of spiritual master? If you are not following the instructions here in our practice ground, if you are not doing what you're supposed to do in the practice ground, which is our Bhakti classes, how will you serve your spiritual master for his satisfaction? Ask that question. Oh, okay. Those are the only two questions that I got for today. Are we okay to now discuss Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yep. Oh, let's first allow me to allow you to answer homework questions first. So everybody should take turns to answer questions that we had given or memorize verses, or recite the memorized verses. Somebody, key points from Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 6, 7, 8.
Prabhu, I can start with the first verse, 1.2.6, which goes, Savaivam paro dharma yato bhakti adoksaji ahaituki aprapihata yata ayatma suprasidati.
Super excellent.
Pure devotion to Lord Krishna is the supreme dharma. It's our superior occupation. The root meaning of the word dharma is that the substance sustains one's existence. We need to revive our eternal relationship with the Lord. Here's the discussion about Nivritti Marga, or the path of renunciation, which is superior to Pravritti Marga, or the path of sense enjoyment. Devotional service to Lord Krishna leads one to an eternal, peaceful, and blissful spiritual life. Such devotional service should be pure, free of sense enjoyment, unfailing to satisfy our spiritual.
Yeah, very good. Chandran Prabhu.
Prabhu, can I try text 7, please?
Yeah.
Text 7. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojata Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yat Ahetukam. The translation, what I infer out of this one is, the Bhakti cult is the topmost of all. Transcendental activities, therefore, it is simultaneously sublime and easy. Sri Krishna is a great science, and it is open for all living beings. Knowledge and detachment are two important factors for realization. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, super excellent recitation and super excellent points. Somebody else? Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Abhishek Prabhu.
I'd like to share, I'm sorry, I could not read all the verses. I was able to just read the sixth verse, so I want to share one point for it. I'll try to complete the remaining verses today after the class. One point which Prabhupada made was that material happiness, what we feel as material happiness, is only temporary cessation of our misery. And like we spend our life running for that only.
Yeah, very good. There's no such thing as happiness in the material world. Very good. Rest of you, any questions, comments, realizations? Nitya.
Prabhu, the answer to questions 1 and 2 the sages has will be devotional service bhakti. Both will be the same answer, right, Prabhu?
Sorry, what's your question? Repeat, please.
The sages had 2 questions. The first and second question, the answer for both is bhakti.
That is correct.
Service to the sages.
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah. Question 1 and question 2, answer is bhakti.
Prabhu, can I try text 8, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Dharma swanashista pumsam Vishwakesna ketasu ya Natprayed yadiratyam Srama iva hi kevalam. What I infer the translation out of this in my little mind, the need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. Therefore, one has to engage in occupational engagements that will evoke one's divine consciousness. Other occupational duties cannot give liberation to the soul. Even the activities of the salvations are considered to be useless. This is what I understood.
Yeah, very good. Correct point and very good recitation as well. Okay. So very good endeavor by all of you. So let's discuss from verse number 12 to 22 today. Now, these divisions parts that I gave you for the chapters and which I will give you for each of the chapters, understand that different acharyas have done it slightly differently. It's just that what is the thought process of that acharya at that point in time, that they may combine few verses in particular part or a few verses in different part, but essentially largely most of the acharyas have similar division. It's only few parts that are divided slightly differently. So we are in part 3, which is verses 12 to 22. The title is Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the process for achieving pure devotion to Krishna. So these verses talk about the practice of devotional service to realize the absolute truth. And it's a logical flow that Sutta Goswami has just answered in 1.2.6 and 7, that devotional service is the essence of all scriptures. So how do I come to pure devotional level? And that's exactly what is being talked in these verses. The whole process is given in these set of verses, that how do you come to the level of pure devotion. So we'll start with the verse number 12. Abhishek Prabhu, verse 12 translation.
Just 1 second, Prabhuji. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.12 translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from Vedanta Shruti.
So verse number 12 highlights two things must go on in parallel to realize the absolute truth. The first is devotional service, and the second is hear about Krishna. It says bhaktya sruta grihataha. So first point, the devotional service must be under a bona fide spiritual master. Plus, second point, you must hear about Krishna, because none of us are experts. At least I am not an expert. So let's read the purport, last paragraph, which says, starting with the sincere devotee. So Abhishek Prabhu, go ahead, purport, last paragraph.
A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literature like the Upanishads, Vedanta, and other literatures left by the previous authorities or Goswamis for the benefit of his progress. Without hearing such literature, one cannot make actual progress. And without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. Unless, therefore, devotional service is established on the principle of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and Pancharatra authorities, the make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from Vedic literatures, one can see the all pervading localized aspect of the personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. This is called Samadhi.
So without hearing, you cannot make progress. So very important point. And this hearing process is essentially described in these verses 12 to 22. And we'll discuss the whole process, the step-by-step process of how you can come to the level of pure devotion. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Gauri, go ahead.
Who is an unauthorized devotee, as it says in the purport?
So whosoever makes a show that they come with tilak and dhoti and kantimala, but they don't follow rules and regulations, they fight with other devotees, they don't read scriptures. Just last week, when we all were doing services, one devotee explained, I will not name names. One devotee explained that some senior devotee is coming with other devotees to do service, and the senior devotee himself is not knowing the difference between bhoga and prasad. So that's a pseudo devotee. Just because you have kantimala and tilak and dhoti does not make you a devotee. Following the rules and regulations, understanding Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is how you progress. Gauri? Gauri, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji, that helps. So sometimes, though it's not right, people conduct business based on the fact that we follow the same dharma. So is that also considered an unauthorized devotee?
Absolutely correct. That temple is not a place to run your business. You are there to do devotional service, not for your business transaction. Otherwise, you are just using your point of contact for business. I will give you a practical example. We were at a book distribution, and one person came up to the book table. So we were at an event. It was, I think, some festival. I don't remember the names. And I showed him Bhagavad Gita, and this devotee said, "Oh, actually, I am a pujari at some temple." So he was actually a brahmana and a pujari at some temple. Okay, I said, okay. Now, a year later, this same person contacted me that there is this another some music event happening, whether I want to come with a book table. So what is he doing? He's using his contact and is using his position to do all these business transactions. And actually on his WhatsApp status also, he always has this posting about so and so Bollywood singer coming, and there is this event and tickets are available. How are you a brahmana? How are you a pujari? That is not what brahmana is. He is just using his position of the pujari to just run a business. That's not a devotee. That's not devotional at all. Gauri?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's very important for us to be aware of this all the time.
Sumnima, you had a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I actually got the answer.
Okay, very good. Kunal Prabhu?
So, Prabhuji, like in the West, right? Like in India, it is very difficult to get initiation for devotees to get Kanti Mala and then get the Harinam Diksha. But in the West, it is quite easy. Like some first people are coming for 2-3 months and then they get Diksha and then they become initiated. So, do you see that as a concern or a problem?
So your
You
assumption is
mentioned,
your
you
assumption
mentioned,
your
yeah,
assumption that in West it is easy is not correct. The standards are same everywhere. In India, yes, it is little stringent in terms of when you want to do devotional service. So in the Western countries, what is easy is you are easily able to do devotional service. But in terms of following the standards to get initiated, that is not different. So when I got initiated, I actually went through the whole process of completing a lot of courses for my Guru Maharaj, which took about 1 year for me to complete these courses. So standards are same. Devotional service opportunity, I can understand that in Western countries, it is little easier for non-initiated devotees to do devotional service. In India, no one will allow non-initiated devotees to even enter in the kitchen. We all go in the kitchen, even though we go to washroom, we still go back to the kitchen. So service is possible just because there are not that many devotees available in Western countries. Kunal Prabhu?
yeah, agree, Prabhuji. Yes.
All right. Everybody on the same page? Okay. So verse number 13 explains the purpose of Varnashram. Malti, are you able to read verse number 13 from the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Text 13. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's occupation according to caste, division, and order of life is to please the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So do you know your Varna? All of you? And the second question is, do you really need to know your Varna? All of you, do you know your Varna? Somebody? Shivangi says Sudra. Okay, very good. Gauri. Unmute. Gauri, unmute.
We are from the previous verses purport, we are ordinary beings. So, but we should be on the pursuit of purification. So our varna is that like we are ordinary beings.
Okay, so Nitya.
Prabhu, the focus is devotional service. It doesn't matter what our varna is. We don't need to know. We don't need to be worried.
Very good. Very good. So Sumnima has a question. What is Varna? So Varna is the four division that Krishna has divided. It's described in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Chatur Varnyam. I forget the verse. Guna Karma Vibhagasa. Chatur Varnyam Maya System Guna Karma Vibhagasa. That Krishna has divided the society in the four Varnas. The four Varnas are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So we don't need to waste time trying to find our Varna, because use the time to do devotional service, because all Varna, basic principle is to serve Krishna. Whatever be one's inclination. So whether you are Brahmana, whether you are Kshatriya, whether you are Vaishya, whether you are Sudra, does not matter. Service is common. So you serve according to your swabhava or your nature. And if later on from within Krishna reveals your varna, okay, you can put a tick mark and you can just continue service. So don't worry about trying to know your varna. Just focus on doing devotional service. So let's read purport last paragraph. And Malti can read. It starts here in the statement, last paragraph. Malti.
Yes, Prabhuji. Here in the statement of Bhagavatam is that the highest aim of life or the highest perfection of institution of the Varnashrama Dharma is to cooperate jointly for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Hare Krishna.
So Varnashram is meant for cooperation. That's it. So whether you are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, does not matter. You just cooperate among each other, and that this is the goal of Varnashram. Varnashram is not to become rich, and Varnashram is not for sense gratification. Everybody on the same page?
Yes.
Meghna Gupta, verse 14 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Text 14. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees.
So we discussed this 1 to 14 verse few minutes ago in the question answer session. The third line says, Shrotavya kirtitavyascha. So Shrotavya means is to be heard, that you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and kirtitavya means to be glorified, means you speak Srimad Bhagavatam to others. And Srila Prabhupada says in the lecture for this verse that you are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, now you must spread. It is not that I have known God, okay, I am satisfied. No, you must preach, because people are ignorant. They don't know who is God. Some even manufacture God, that rich people become God. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, preach what you are hearing. And some also think demigods as God or semi-God as God. Semi-God means say me God, means people call themselves as God. And these are semi-gods are manufactured gods. Like if you recall a few years back, one person had made an idol of the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and he put it in his home temple and he was worshipping Narendra Modi with a lamp. Arey Baba, that is semi-God, that is manufactured God. That is not God. Therefore, people don't know, and therefore we have to preach. Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Priyanka, verse 15 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Hare Krishna.
So we can untie the knot simply by hearing about Krishna. So hearing acts as a sword to cut attachment of the world. So all these verses today that we are discussing, they talk about the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and the result. So last week I shared you the key memorization verse list, and from verse number 4 onwards all the way to 22 are all key memorization verses. Now, those of you who follow my spiritual masters any class, or you can look or you can listen to my spiritual masters any class, these verses from 16 onwards, they are actually part of his daily invocation. So these are that important verses, and like he will start with this. So he will recite all the invocation prayers, all the previous acharya, and then for Srimad Bhagavatam, from this verse number 16 onwards, they form part of his invocation prayers. Then there are 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita, and then there are 4 verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So 1.2.16 is also definitely a very, very important verse. I mean, all of them are very important verse. So from this verse number 16 up to verse number 20, it describes the process of devotional service which helps a neophyte come to Naishtiki Bhakti, meaning come to Bhava and Prema. So starting from gaining Ruchi, Ruchi means taste, for hearing the message of Vasudeva. So I have explained before also that these verses from 16 onwards, in 1.2.16 onwards, are explained the same way in Bhagavad Gita 7.1. And if you actually read Bhagavad Gita 7.1 in the purport, these same verses are actually there in the purport where Prabhupada has explained in a summary form. Does anybody want to recite Bhagavad Gita 7.1 verse? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manapata.
Okay.
Nitya, go ahead.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manapata Yogam Vinjam Mat Asaya Atansayam Samagam Mam Yatana Asi Atra Samsaya.
Yeah, very good. So you have it on the screen. There's a very important verse that this hearing process, that Shrunu in Bhagavad Gita 7.1. And if you go in the purport, so all these verses, they are basically the verses that we are discussing. All these verses we'll discuss today is basically the 1.2.16 onwards verses. So I'll first explain 7.1. And essentially 7.1 gets expanded in 1.2.16 to 20 or about 22 verse number. So if you follow 7.1 Bhagavad Gita, that you start from the bottom up. That Tatshunu means hearing. That by hearing, what will happen is, if you keep hearing regularly, you will come to step number 2 of Jnanasyasi, that you will come to know Krishna properly and completely. And when you, after step number 2, step number 3 will happen, that asamshayam, that all your doubts will be removed, and the more our knowledge will increase, and the more the doubts will decrease. And after step number 3, step number 4 will happen, that mad ashraya, that we take shelter of Krishna. Once we understand that Krishna is Suhadram Sarva Bhutanam, that he is the well-wishing friend of everyone. And then step number 5 will happen of Yogam Yunjan, that you will engage in devotional service. And then step number 6 will happen is Mai Asakta Mana Partha, that your mind will get attached to Krishna. And for this step to happen, all these steps, Sadhu Sangha is step number 1. Sadhu Sangha is your starting point, and Bhagavatam 1.2.16 explains Sadhu Sangha. So if you recall Nectar of Instruction, I had given you the 9 steps, that you start from Shraddha, then Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha onwards, and then goes all the way to Bhava and Prema. All those same steps are described in these verses from 1.2.16 onwards. So 16 is about Sadhu Sangha. I can recite verse number 16. I mean, all these verses are very beautiful and very important verses. So 16 is Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeve Katharuchi Senmahat Seve Vipra Punyatirtha Nishvenat. Divya, translation.
Hare Krishna. O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Hare Krishna.
So the question is, how do I develop ruchi? Ruchi means taste. That how can a neophyte develop spiritual taste? And that is explained here, that Sadhu Sangha is your starting point. By rendering service to the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata, you will develop taste. So important is that service part cannot be skipped. Otherwise, ruchi for hearing will not come. When a neophyte travels to Holy Dham, neophyte should get sadhu sangha and get knowledge and hear from the elevated devotees at Holy Dham. Now, how does ruchi come? The new person hears Srimad Bhagavatam, takes prasad, means he is getting mercy. So what are these people doing, talking about Srimad Bhagavatam? I am also inquisitive. This is what a neophyte will generally end up inquiring. Therefore, his hearing starts. That's how the process starts and will go all the way to developing ruchi, to developing taste. So unless a neophyte comes in contact with a sadhu, he cannot progress. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that association of a devotee is the doorway, meaning sadhu sangha is opening the doorway for neophyte, and eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification to enter into the kingdom of God. Let's read the last purport, paragraph, last purport. Purport, last paragraph. The how it starts, the servants of God. Divya?
Hare Krishna. The servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita 18.69 that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God.
The last line. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee to become eligible to enter kingdom of God. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, just a clarification. So, eagerness is there, and we talked about Nirmal Sarana being completely pure in heart. So, the purification occurs in stages, right? We
You
cannot
are
be
correct.
completely pure immediately.
Yeah, you are correct. So here it's talking about a neophyte who may not necessarily be Nirmat Saranam. He's saying the starting point is hearing. So all these verses are talking about hearing, that hearing is the starting point that can take you to ruchi and to bhava and to prema. And Nitya, you are correct that yes, that non-enviousness and all the other anarthas going away will happen in stages and gradually, not overnight. So Vijay Prabhu has a question that if I hear more kirtan than philosophy, is it same or not? So you need a balance of both. You cannot say either or. You need the philosophy and you also need devotional service. So kirtan is devotional service. So Prabhupada has explained this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. I think it's verse number 3.3 or plus minus one or two verses. Prabhupada has said that there has to be a balance between religion and philosophy. So you need both, just as in the material world, in the science laboratory, when you do say some practical test. So first what you do is you study the philosophy or you study the test at your desk, and then you come and perform the actual test. If you don't study the philosophy of, or you don't study the subject matter at your desk, then you cannot really conduct the test. Or if you only do the test, well, you don't know what is right, what is wrong. Somebody will come up tomorrow saying, oh, this Babaji is some great Babaji. Okay, I will start following him. then tomorrow some other Babaji will come up and you will start following that other Babaji. Therefore, the philosophy study is important to solidify that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we need to continue devotional service to Krishna. And you can substantiate and mix it with listening to Kirtan and doing devotional service. Vijay Prabhu? Okay. So verse number 7.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Verse number 17 is about Bhajana Kriya. Okay. Monarch Prabhu, translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Translation: Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Hare Krishna.
So here's a question for all of you. All of you try to answer. So we read that hearing is the process to cleanse, and we just read that Krishna cleanses. So the question is, how does the Lord clean? Does anybody know, or does anybody want to know? How does the Lord clean from within? Everybody, please help me, or please try. Somebody?
Prabhuji, it leaves the contaminations.
Yeah, but how? So Vijay Prabhu says through Krishna Katha, but how? My question is how? Somebody?
By freeing us from material desires.
Yeah, but how? My question is how? So you are repeating that what the verse says, that he will free from material desires. Vijay Prabhu is saying by hearing. My question is, how does the cleansing process happen? Yes, you are correct, hearing. But how does the cleansing process happen is my question.
We come out of ignorance. So we go through steps. We come out of ignorance, then maybe we go into the higher mode of passion, and then to the mode of goodness, and then transcendence.
Okay. Okay, so those are some steps where come up in upcoming verses about the coming from the lower mode to higher mode. Okay. So Zizel says the Lord's name is transcendental. So hearing his name, internally we get cleansed through his transcendental energy of his name. Still does not answer the how part. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, I think he makes you see things differently, like teaches you some difficult lessons, the way that you see
Okay.
people, like your friends, family, kind of
Yeah.
like not as your property, but like as like their own people, like souls.
Okay. So you are correct that he makes you see, but still, how does he make you see? Dipanshu Prabhu says, Dipanshu Prabhu says 10.88.8 that he gives you misery. Okay. But how? I'm still stuck on how. Nitya?
He gives you remembrance, Prabhu. He gives you remembrance of, he helps you remember. So we forget, we lose our taste for material. He helps you remember. He helps revive our...
Yeah, what happens? If you remember what happens, how does the cleansing happen?
We lose our taste, we lose our taste for
But
material.
how? Simply by remembering? How? My question is how? Rest of you? Shivangi? Shivangi?
From inside the Prabhuji, as a super soul.
Okay, super soul. Okay, we are getting close. Okay. Rest, Kunal Prabhu wanted to say something.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you get the knowledge and intelligence and your perspective at looking at things changes.
Okay. Okay, Vijay Prabhu also says similar to Shivangi that Krishna enters into the heart of a devotee through Krishna Katha. I mean, he's already there. So both of you are saying a super soul. Okay. Rest of you wants to try. How does the cleaning happen? Yes, we all keep saying hearing is the process. But how? My question is how? How does the cleaning happen? Priyanka says Krishna acts from within our heart and reciprocates. Okay, very good, very close. Okay, rest of you, somebody wants to try?
Prabhuji, by constant remembrance, we our material desire goes off, and we are into spiritual world always.
Okay. Zizel says from by guiding us from within. Okay. Do you all want to know how does the cleansing process happen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji.
So to clean, you need to be personally present. Similarly, when you are hearing Krishna Katha, Krishna is personally present. So we have discussed multiple times that there is no difference between Krishna, Krishna's names, Krishna's pastimes, etc. So when you are hearing, he is there, he gets manifested. But I have not realized because of the covering of Maya. Therefore, I need assistance. And he is there in Sadhu's heart. And when we hear from a bona fide Acharya, from pure devotees, he appears in our heart also and starts the cleansing process. Meaning he has to be physically there to clean. Otherwise, how are you going to clean something? Therefore, hear properly every word without any offense. We are not hearing for punya or we are not hearing for entertainment, just as somebody hears material world songs for entertainment. Understand that when you hear Krishna Katha, Krishna is present in the form of the transcendental sound. So let me ask you a follow-up question. Krishna is personally present through the sound vibration. Are you all convinced? Yes, no? Are you all convinced?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Rest of you? Shivangi?
Not yet, Prabhuji.
Not perceived it yet, Prabhuji.
So if somebody commits offenses or inattentive chanting or seeing mobile, meaning all these are not focusing on Krishna as the sound vibration. So some read Srimad Bhagavatam as for pious credits. No, Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to attain love for Krishna. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or reading Srimad Bhagavatam for pious credits is an offense. So 1.2.7 discussion onwards, what's going on is that when you associate with devotee of Krishna, meaning say Guru or Sadhu, by your service, Guru or Sadhu is pleased with your endeavor. And Bhakti Devi, who resides in the heart of the pure devotee, transfers into the heart of the neophyte. Everybody with me? Everybody understands the cleansing process?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shivangi, are you able to read paragraph 1 and 2 faster pace?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm in a bit of a noisy area.
All right. Who can read at a faster pace, please? Read.
I can read
Go
the
ahead, Gauri.
paragraphs, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Messages of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, are non-different from him. Whenever, therefore, offenseless hearing and glorification of Lord are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka declares clearly that the holy name of the Lord has all the potencies of the Lord and that he has endowed his innumerable names with the same potency. There is no rigid fixture of time and anyone can chant the holy name with attention and reverence at his convenience. The Lord is so kind to us that he can be present before us personally in the form of transcendental sound, but unfortunately we have no taste for hearing and glorifying the Lord's name and activities. We have already discussed developing a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. It is done through the medium of service to the pure devotee of the Lord. The Lord is reciprocally responded to his devotees. When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord and has thus become eager to hear about him, the Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only a very few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Sri Krishna helps in all respects.
So the Lord is present, but I don't have the taste for hearing and glorifying the Lord's name. And not all people are desired to go back home to Godhead. You ask yourself, are you ready to go back home to Godhead? At least I am not. So Srila Prabhupada says in the lecture that as soon as Krishna sees the living entity is now serious in hearing about me, then he helps. Without Krishna's help, I cannot get out of these 30 things by my own endeavor. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? Okay, all these verses are definitely key memorization verse. 1.2.18 is also a very famous verse, and 1.2.18 is the verse talking about anartha nivritti and nishtha. So 1.2.18 is Nasta praveshu abhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, which prays to the transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
How many times have we discussed Nityam Bhagavata? It doesn't say Bhagavat Sapta. There are so many Bhagavat Sapta classes happening in India. No, it says Nityam Bhagavata, that we have to eternally hear Bhagavatam. And this is the process of Anartha Nivritti, and to come to the stage of Naishtiki Bhakti and then to Bhava and Prema. Therefore, regular hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is very important, because you become free from anartha and you come to Naishtiki Bhakti level. So now you have some taste and some conviction, just like a businessman has one pointed focus to earn money. Nitya, faster pace, paragraph 1 and 2.
Yes, Prabhu. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization.
So very
The
first
remedy-
line is important, that this verse is giving you the remedy for inauspicious things in your heart, which inauspicious things in the heart are anarthas, and that's the solution being discussed here. Continue.
The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competing remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. The devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata because the devotee leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata. And the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and its pure devotees who are also Bhagavata. Bhagavata book and the person are identical. The devotee Bhagavata is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavata. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavata or the book Bhagavata, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Sridhar Narada Deva, who happened to be a maid servant's son in his previous life. The maid servant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came in contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of the footsteps left by the sages, the son of the maid servant got the chance to become the great devotee and the personality Sridhar Narada Deva. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by some sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The messages of the book Bhagavata therefore have to be received from the devotee Bhagavata, and the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on.
Okay, very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu, once again, could you clarify Naistikhi Bhakti? Is it just irrevocable Bhakti itself before the process of Bhava and Prema?
Yeah, you are correct. Naistikhi is same as Nishkam Karma Yoga. That you are at the Nishkam level. That you have no other material desire. That says Naistikhi.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Everybody on the same page? Okay. Okay, so verse number 19 is talking about Ruchi and Asakti. Diksha, verse number 19, translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I'll bring up on screen.
As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effect of the nature's modes of passions and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart, then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy.
So here it talks about mode of goodness opens the door to pure goodness. So without coming to the mode of goodness, it's really difficult to advance to pure goodness. From mode of goodness, it's easier. It's not that you cannot advance from ignorance to pure goodness. It's just is very rare and really, really difficult. So simply being free from mode of passion and or ignorance is not enough. You must be free, of course, but you have to come to the mode of goodness also, as well as you have to be free from the mode of goodness also. Monarch Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, one small question. When we talk about this pure mode of goodness, so when Krishna is telling Arjun to be transcendental, like to be free from all three modes of nature, so that mode and this pure goodness mode are same, or is there any difference between these two?
So the modes in the material world, which are ignorance, passion, and goodness, are material modes. Pure goodness is above, is at transcendental level. Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna in 14.26 that you have to transcend all the modes by devotional service and situate yourself at pure goodness. So your question, whether goodness of material world and pure goodness are same? No, they are not. Goodness of the material world is still a material world quality. Pure goodness is above the material world, and pure goodness is a transcendence. Either way is the fourth mode. So Monarch Prabhu and all those devotees in batch 5 from tomorrow's class, chapter 14 will start, where this discussion will come up, but I have briefly answered right now. Monarch Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Now, verse number 20 talks about bhava and prema. So we'll soon summarize. I have discussed individual verses, and we will soon summarize all these verses and will make some little more sense. Kunal Prabhu.
Thus, established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association.
So the word in the Sanskrit says prasanna manaso, means that mind is enlivened with devotional service and with bhava. So without coming to the bhava stage, one cannot always stay aloof from material objects. Then one gets Bhagavad Tattva Vijnan. It's there in the third line of the verse. That one gains the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. One realizes the form, qualities, pastime, sweetness of the Lord. Let's read paragraph number 2. Kunal Prabhu, faster pace.
Yeah, Prabhuji. The very same thing is confirmed here in the above words. No ordinary man or even one who has attained success in human life can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of Godhead. Perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not the product of matter, but is in fact spirit. And as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankering and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance, or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. A Brahmana is a symbol of Sattva Guna or mode of goodness, and others who are not in the mode of goodness are either Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, or less than the Shudras. The Brahmanical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action, but that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava, in fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage. A pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also conditioned soul, because although in the Brahmanical stage of conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized. Scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahmanical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. The science of personality of Godhead is the subject matter for study by postgraduate students in the spiritual line. Foolish men or men with poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of a Brahmana. Even a qualified Brahmana actually becomes a Vaishnava in the 11th stage of liberation, and he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations? So I explained that Krishna can be understood only by devotional service. So coming to the Brahmana stage is not enough. Our goal is not to become a Brahmana, but we need to become a Vaishnava. So Vaishnava is referring to pure devotee. Diksha has a question.
Prabhuji, I wanted to tell you to summarize it, like the paragraph.
Yeah, so I just did that we don't have to just try to be a jnani, or we don't have to just become a Brahmana. We actually have to come to the point of doing unalloyed devotional service, meaning become a Vaishnava. Diksha?
Prabhuji, what's the difference between Brahmana and Vaishnava? Like, what is the thin line that separates the two?
Yeah, it will come up in upcoming verses that Brahmana, they generally do these rituals. Yes, they are elevated, but Vaishnava, they focus on devotional service. After they have studied all the scriptures, and in terms of scriptural knowledge, you can say that Vaishnava also has the same scriptural knowledge as a Brahmana. But Brahmana's scriptural knowledge is theoretical, and they are more focused on doing rituals. It's more focused on karma kanda, versus Vaishnava is more focused on devotional service. Diksha?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Kunal?
So, Prabhuji, is a Vaishnava also considered a Brahmana?
Vaishnava is also a Brahmana and above a Brahmana.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Nitya?
Prabhu, is the spontaneous love for the Supreme Lord the dividing distinction between Brahmana and Vaishnava?
No, the spontaneous love is the dividing line between awe and reverence and pure love. But Vaishnava is on itself, that they are focused on devotional service. So pure devotees who are Vaishnava can be in awe and reverence, or Vaishnava pure devotee can be in the mode of pure love. Nitya?
But Prabhu, between Brahmana who just follows, who's well versed in scriptures and follows, he performs all the, rituals and ceremonies, to the Vaishnava. Is the Brahmana also having an element of love in his devotion?
It's very difficult. They are not doing devotional service. So Brahmana's knowledge is theoretical, and it's at the karma kanda level. So somebody at the karma kanda level generally will not have love for Krishna. Otherwise, they would not be staying at the karma kanda level.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah. Mansi first.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, can you please explain what is the Vasudev stage?
Vasudev stage, as in, means just Vasudev is just another name for Krishna.
Okay, so is it like a Vaishnava stage, kind of?
No. Vasudeva is referring to the absolute truth.
Okay. So I'm not getting the point Vasudev. I got the point Vasudev, but it's attached with the stage. What is that stage?
Vasudeva refers to spiritual stage.
Prabhu, got it.
So it's just another way of referring to the absolute truth. If you go back to 1.1.1, so I will bring up on screen 1.1.1, and it ends with Satyam Param Dhimahi. Right? The last word, that Satyam Param, if you read the word for word translation, it says Satyam Param means the absolute truth, and Dhimahi, that I am meditating on that absolute truth.
Okay.
So Vasudev is just another name for the absolute truth, or Krishna. It's just another name.
Okay, got it, Prabhu.
So if you follow the very first line in 1.1.1, just says right here, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, or also another name is Vasudeva also for Krishna. Therefore, we start with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, referring to Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu.
Diksha?
Prabhuji, in the previous verses, we learned that we need not know our varnas in order to do the devotional service, but right here in the purport, we learned that one needs to be in Brahman stage in order to become a devotee.
So we don't need to know our varna, means we don't need to spend time to find out what is my varna. Here what is referring to Brahmana is that you come out of Anartha Nivritti stage. So you can be a Shudra and you can still go on to become a Brahmana and a Vaishnava if you are past the Anartha Nivritti stage and you have taken initiation from a bona fide spiritual master. The point about the previous discussion about not worrying about Varna is that we don't have to focus our entire energy on trying to know whether I'm a Brahmana or a Shudra or what. Doesn't matter, because your focus is service. And we discussed just few minutes back that even if I come to know my Varna, big deal. I will just put a tick mark. Okay, from now I know that I am a Brahmana. Big deal. I am just continuing my service. Whatever is my service. Diksha?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there's another question also.
Go ahead.
Prabhuji, didn't we learn that Vasudeva is Lord Krishna himself?
Yes, you are correct.
Prabhuji, then in that, I think, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, we just read that Lord Krishna is the son of Vasudeva. So I'm not getting.
Yeah, you are correct. If you actually follow where it says Vasudeva and Vasudeva, so one place it will say Vasudeva. That is referring to the father, Vasudeva. And where it says Vasudeva, it will only say Vasudeva. The A will not be there. So very close, but there's just that one difference. So just as many people have their son named as the father's name and a junior added to the name. That same way, it says the son of Vasudeva. So Vasudeva refers to the father Vasudeva, and then Krishna's name is Vasudeva.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mansi?
No, Prabhu, I don't have any question.
So there's a question posted in the chat by Gauri. It said that can a neophyte claim to be a Vaishnava? Very difficult for a neophyte to claim as a Vaishnava because he is not past the Anartha Nivritti stage. Only after Anartha Nivritti stage that you reach Bhava and Prema, and then you take first and second initiation is when you will become a Vaishnava. Till that point, you are just fluctuating. You are under the modes, being controlled by the modes. Hope that answers the question. Divya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Divya has a question first.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So the point is to become a Vaishnava, we have to go through becoming a Brahmana first. But when you say Brahmana, you're saying just the Anartha Nivritti part of it.
It's not just Anartha Nivritti part. You study all the scriptures and Vedas and everything. You know all the scriptures. It's not just Anartha Nivritti stage.
So in this lifetime, if you want to become a Vaishnava, then you have to like at some point become a Brahmin first, and then you will continue in that level for some time, and then you will become a Vaishnava.
Yeah.
If you do everything correctly.
Yeah, you are correct. But you don't need to so much worry about these tiny details, because the way Krishna has designed the Varnashram system, we have discussed this in 4.13 Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna's Varnashram system is Daivi. Daivi means divine, that a Brahmana, if he does his duties properly, he can go back home to Godhead. If Shudra does his duties properly, he can go back home to Godhead from the Shudra status. Normally, the Varnashram system, normally how it functions is that Shudra does his duties properly. In the next life, he gets the life of a Vaishya. Then in the next life, he does his duties properly of a Vaishya. Then he becomes a Kshatriya. Then he does his duties as a Kshatriya properly in that life, and then he becomes a Brahmana. But what Krishna has designed, and we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 18.46, this is Daivi Varnashram, that all Varnas, they do their duties properly in their respective Varnas, and from their respective Varnas, they can go back home to Godhead. They don't need to do this step by step process that Divya was just describing.
So you can go directly to Vaishnava from whatever existing Varna you are in, if you just follow that Varna's work properly, which is service and love to God.
Correct. Yeah. And so to become Vaishnava, of course, you need to become initiated. So to become initiated, of course, you will come to the Brahmana stage by default without any separate endeavor.
Okay. But Prabhuji, then is it also possible for some people, that they won't do all this initiation, nothing, but their life is just dedicated to God and pure love for God? Like,
Yeah,
they might be functioning out of the Varna system then.
Yeah, so
right?
Varna is not spiritual. We have discussed multiple times. Varna is just a stepping stone that I am not strong enough. Therefore, I need to regulate myself. Therefore, Varnashram system is there. But your point that somebody does not need to get initiated to go back home to Godhead, that is incorrect. If you want to go back home to Godhead, initiation is a must, because initiation gets you connected in the parampara, which is connected all the way to Krishna. Divya?
Okay, Prabhuji, that is helpful to know that initiation process has to happen at some point.
Yeah. So you can stay as a Shudra in terms of your activities that you are doing on a day-to-day basis in the material world. The Shudra, once they become initiated, they will drop off their anarthas, but they will continue their duties. So say I am an accountant, I am a Shudra. Once I became initiated, it's not that I dropped off my accounting duties and took up a Brahmana doing yajna. No, I am continuing my basic accounting duties that I am born with in my Shudra life. It's just that after initiation, I'm just more focused on spirituality. I'm trying to drop off the anarthas with the help of my spiritual master. Divya?
Prabhuji, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Kunal Prabhu?
So, Prabhuji, like Brahmana is someone who is kind of who has read the Shastras, who is full of knowledge. Without becoming a Brahmana, how can one become like good in devotional service or maybe good Vaishnava? Because for a
Yeah, so I just explained to Divya that when a Shudra tries to do devotional service, he automatically comes to the Brahmana stage, because we have discussed in one of the verses earlier, 1.2.7, that by doing devotional service, the byproducts are knowledge and detachment. So if you recall, I'll bring up on screen 1.2.7, again a key memorization verse, that when you do Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, to whom? To Vasudeva. Then the byproducts are Vairagyam and Jnanam. Kunal Prabhu?
yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, so that means we need knowledge to become good in devotional service, right?
Yeah, and you are correct. So we have discussed that we don't need to do a separate endeavor for knowledge. Devotional service is the basis for knowledge, not the other way around.
I mean, so Prabhuji, I have a different just thought. The reason is like if suppose somebody is just coming to the kitchen doing some service and doesn't read the books, then I think he will go away after some time, he or she.
So it depends on his level of intensity of service. Somebody may be doing very pure service and Krishna will guide from within. So if you know Bhagavad Gita 10.9, 10.10, Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, that I will give the knowledge by which Yena Mam Upayanti, that they come to me. So they can get the knowledge from Krishna from within. Of course, we would like to read by ourselves. Not everybody is at that level of doing pure devotional service without knowledge. So we have discussed in our previous class also about knowledge, that what kind of knowledge is a limb of bhakti and what knowledge is not a limb of bhakti. And we discuss at great length that some knowledge we need that is going to help us our footing in Krishna consciousness. So that knowledge is required. Kunal Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Nitya, last question and we'll move on.
Prabhu, I think it's answered, Prabhu.
Okay. So let's read Malti 21 translation. Sorry, not Malti. Mansi 21 translation.
Hare Krishna. Thus the note in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive action is terminated when one sees the self as master.
So the result is being described in 21, as well as the conclusion also comes in verse number 22. And then we'll summarize, and all of this will make a lot more sense very soon. Matan Prabhu, 22 translation.
Thus, the knot in the heart. Oh, sorry. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self.
So, conclusion is given for verse number 12 to 22 in verse number 22, that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the process of achieving pure devotional service. So instead of Srimad Bhagavatam Sapta, which is done by professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the Bhagavat Sapta is not going to help us. We need pure, offenseless, submissive hearing That is the process that Srila Prabhupada says will take you from neophyte stage to pure devotional stage. So let's summarize. So we discussed all these verses individually. I'll give you a summary of all of it and let's see if it makes sense. So 1.2.16 to 21 describes how the heart becomes purified, how one comes to pure devotional service. So these verses are the most quoted verses of Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada. The process from Bhagavad Gita 7.1, that from how tat shrunu you come to mai asakta mana will happen. How this will happen is described in 1.2.16 to 21. So 1.2.16 is sadhu sangha. That sadhu sangha is the starting point. By rendering service to the book Bhagavata and to the person Bhagavata, meaning service part cannot be skipped. Otherwise, ruchi for hearing will not develop. Then 1.2.17 is bhajana kriya. When we hear about Krishna, just hearing this Krishna katha, speaking about this katha is purifying in of itself, because they are pious activities. But additionally, when we hear about Krishna, that Lord who is situated in our hearts, he washes away our impurities, because he is the well-wishing friend of all living beings. Then 1.2.18 talked about anartha, nivritti and nishtha stage, that most of the anarthas get destroyed. How? By serving the book Bhagavata as well as the person Bhagavata. As we get to hear Krishna Katha from both, from the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata, the same theme continues, that first by hearing, Krishna cleanses from within. I explained to you the process that Krishna is personally present when you hear Krishna Katha. Then 1.2.18, the third and the fourth line says that the Lord, who is Uttama Shloka, that bhakti for him awakens in our heart. So first we become detached from the negative, and then we become attached to the positive. That's mai asakta. So why I don't have Naishtaki bhakti right now? Naishtaki means very steady, nishkam or unshakable. I don't have Naishtaki bhakti because the modes are interfering with my consciousness, with my connection to Krishna. And then 1.2.19 talks about ruchi and asakti. What happens with steady practice of bhakti? That previous 1.2.18 I said modes were the hindrance. So because of modes of passion and ignorance, there is kama and lobha. These lower modes go away and we become situated in sattva guna, means mode of goodness, which helps us to easily come to the level of pure goodness. And then 1.2.20 talks about bhava and prema, that with pleasant mind, by the practice of bhakti yoga, we engage in devotional service. Then we become liberated from all kinds of contaminations. First, it described that we become free from the lower modes of passion and ignorance. And now it further describes that we become free from all contaminations. That's how we reach the level of bhava and prema. Then in 1.2.21, Srila Prabhupada is using this verse to show how from tat shrunu, Tatshunu means hearing, leads to asamshaya, that doubts become completely purified. And all the attachments that are there in the heart, they get cut off. The attachments in the heart is what keeps me bound in the material world. Thus, when desires and doubts go away, then we do not do any activity apart from Krishna, apart from service to Krishna. Therefore, all fruitive activities stop. One gets transcendental vision and one gets attached to Krishna. So, in summary, Srila Prabhupada is showing Bhagavad Gita 7.1 Shrunu. 2 asamshaya means doubts are completely purified. 2 mai asakta mana partha. And I'll again in very brief explain the same process in 1.2.16 onwards. That 16 starts with sadhu sangha and service to devotees. Then 17, by hearing we get purified, plus the Lord situated in the heart cleanses from within. 18, most of the anarthas are destroyed by serving both Bhagavatas. 19, by the practice of bhakti, lower modes of passion and ignorance go away and we get situated in the goodness. Verse 20, the practice of devotional service with pleasant mind, we become liberated from all kinds of contamination. And 21, 21 and 22 talks about the result that all attachments in the heart get cut off when we are enlivened by Krishna's knowledge. Then we do not do any activity in the material world apart from devotional service to Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations? So next Saturday, 21st of September, we will finish unit number 1, which is Canto 1, Chapter 1, 2, and 3, up to part number 4. And are you all okay that on the following Saturday, 28th of September, where you all will explain key points from unit 1? So I will have on screen, let's see. So I will share a link for this, where in this column number G highlighted in yellow, you will populate your name in terms of which unit, which sub-part of a chapter you would like to present. Now, some of you have not yet learned the presentation skills, so you can, for the time being, listen on. So how I have divided is, because you are a big batch, so if your first name starts from A to J, J for Jagannath, you will be doing odd numbered unit presentation, meaning 1, 3, 5, etc. And if your first name starts with K, Krishna, to Z, you will do even numbered unit presentations. So unit 1, the first option is for devotees having first name A to J. And if the devotees with the first name A to J, the slots are not filled, then anybody else can also do the presentations. Now, we are not going to talk about verse by verse detail. We are just going to talk about the essence. So those of you who are from batch number 5, you have not yet learned the presentation, except for Dipanshu, who is in the other batch, and Shivangi, who is in the other batch, also who have learned this presentation. And rest of you who are continuing from the previous batches, you all know. So those of you who have not learned the presentation, you can either listen to the initial set of presentations, or you are welcome to listen to previous class recording of the presentations, and you can get caught up that way if you really want to present. Everybody okay to do the presentations on September 28th? And if you are not going to be virtually present, you can by all means record your presentation and I can play the recording as well. Everybody, yes, no?
Okay, Prabhu.
I only got one devotee confirming, okay.
So Prabhu, this is being an odd number chapters only for devotees. Primarily they're going to choose A to J person.
Yeah. Odd number units is A to J. Those devotees will get the first preference. And if the slots are not filled, then anybody else can also do presentation.
Prabhu, and you're only needing 6 devotees for presenting as per your thing.
Yeah. So what will happen is it's on first come first serve basis. I cannot divide further. I mean, there's a logical division to these divisions. I cannot really divide further. So if somebody is not able to be the first one to present, well, we do the next presentation. So I posted the link for this Google form in the chat. But you can wait. You can, for now, just decide which one you want to present, and hopefully by next week you all will be ready to your presentation, or in terms of which part you want to present. Everybody on the same page?
Prabhuji, for some reason I'm not able to copy from this chat, this link. I don't know why.
I will send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
So homework questions, standard homework questions, all classes without me telling is to read all the purports of all the verses we have covered so far. I will send a Google link for you to provide striking points and inquiries. And then question number 1, homework question number 1. What are 2 very difficult problems for devotee to go back home, and what is the solution? Next homework question. So the first homework question comes from verse number 15, 1-5. Next homework question is importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Comes from verse number 12 to 21. And last, for next class, read rest of chapter 2 as well as read chapter 3 up to verse number 39. Everyone on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu, we are finishing up to chapter 3, up to verse 39 by next week.
Correct. Yeah. Read chapter 2, the rest of the chapter, as well as chapter 3 up to verse number 39. Chapter 3 is pretty straightforward chapter. Shivangi?
Nothing, Prabhuji, sorry.
Are we okay to stop here? Thank you for tolerating for 5 extra minutes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.